Welcome out, everybody, once again to another Boom Bap Breakfast right here on Black Power Media. This is the RemiX Morning Show, and I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and this is your edition of the Black Full House. That's right. First of all, we got Kalanji Changa, we got Jackie Lukman, we got Tierney Cherie, and Kamal Franklin. Let's go.
What up, what up, what up?
Wait, if this is the Black Full House, which one am I?
That's a very good question.
I don't know any of the characters' names. I couldn't even be a character.
Me neither. I just know it's
don't
a
need
bunch
to
of
be the Brady Bunch.
I prefer Good Times or something. You know what I'm saying?
All I know is those two crackhead twins. That's it.
Two crackhead twins.
Were they crackheads?
All right. Welcome to the morning show. You can be 2 minutes and 22 seconds in, and you can hear about crackhead twins.
I just, stop clowning the Olsen twins like that. That was a model chic. That was heroin chic on the runway that they were rocking.
What was their name? The Unwholesome Twins? Okay.
Wow. Is there dirt on the Olsen twins? I just don't know about. I just don't know.
Oh my gosh! No, there's no dirt. Ear Doctor's just being mean.
All right.
Ear Doctor, get that shirt, man. What does that mean? We need you. You know what I'm saying?
We need you, and they got our ancestors at the bottom. It's a shirt from a book from Brother Mawali Davis, who has a book out, and it's talking about how we need you, talking to the youth, the elders, everybody. Ancestors said we need y'all to step up. So,
hey man, I'm happy to hear that, because nowadays when I see the blue, black, and the white, I think of these pro-pole joints. You know what I'm saying? So it threw me off course. I was like, hold on, come on, like who we need, dog? Who we need? Anyway,
y'all have a good show. Need an intervention?
Yes. Welcome to the RemiX Morning Show, where you can get all kinds of characters at the same goddamn time. Jackie Lukman looked like she got a tan, fresh off the island of. Where you coming from, Jackie?
I went to Colombia. I went to Cali, and then I scooted on up to Buenaventura for a minute, and then hung out in Cali.
Scooting in Colombia.
Yeah.
Okay. Tierney in the building. She probably went to Rwanda somewhere. Where you at? What Tierney do?
I'm not from Rwanda, but maybe somewhere else in Africa.
Okay. Everything good?
Yeah, everything's good. It's cold. It's so cold.
It's cold, man. I got short sleeves on. What y'all talking?
No. It's too far from the equator for me right now. I can't live like this for the rest of my life.
Back to Africa.
And my man, Miles, straight out of Canarsie, man. Where you coming from, brother?
Canarsie. I mean, I was visiting you. When I was visiting you, I guess maybe that's what I was doing. Yo, I got my next collection of books from Ashante Austin, former Black Panther, or veteran Black Panther Party member, BLA. So really quick, police crisis negotiations. As y'all know, the Panthers believed in negotiating with the enemy, so they were studying techniques.
I don't recall that, but go ahead.
World of you don't talk to me enough. The world of Tupac Amari, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Bam. Amilcar Cabral, boom. I got my hand on the title. Sorry about that. Yo, bam, classic bit. How to Disappear, B.
Okay.
A Classic.
Man, Ashanti's been sending you a lot of books lately.
Disguise technique.
Disguise technique.
Wait a minute. Wait. What are you?
BLA stuff. Y'all know about all that. Y'all don't know about all that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
When I was a kid, I was with him. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know. I was baby BLA. I was baby BLA. I didn't know.
Okay, you baby, you blah blah blah.
Shut up. Arm struggle.
Okay.
And a couple of more, but those are the best ones, B. Those are the best
ones. I mean, Ashanti must be starting a book club because it's like every week you come back with a whole new arsenal from Ashanti.
I don't know. He dishing them out and I'm taking them. He knows my love of books.
Is he trying to draft you or what?
Say it again?
Is he trying to draft you or what?
It's a little late for that. I got arthritis in the knees. I can't break out of prison or break into prison no more. So
no doubt. Shout
that disguise wouldn't work if if we can catch you, if we can recognize you by your gimp. Yeah.
Recognize him by his gimp. I'm not quite sure what a gimp is, but anyway. Ear doctor moment, chill. But anyway, I haven't seen Ashanti in quite a while, man. I'm glad he's still good. Last time I saw Ashanti Austin, for those who don't know, Ashanti's a veteran Panther, as my man mentioned. He's a co-D of my man Jihad, who we've had on the show as well. And one of the things, he's known for leading these white anarchists, boy. We was at the UN one time, and I see a sea of white folks coming around the corner. I'm like, okay, where they from? Uruguay? Where they from? You know what I'm saying? And it was Ashanti leading the front. And they was like, yes, Chief Ashanti and all that. So shout out to Ashanti for leading.
As you know, Ashanti refers to himself as the Anarchist Panther.
Anarchist Panther.
He adopted those politics later on after leaving after the Panthers. I don't want to say dissolved after they were destroyed. By the late 90s, he developed into sort of some he didn't shed everything, but bringing some new politics in. So he referred to himself as an Anarchist Panther. And he's still working on his biography, which hopefully he'll finish sooner rather than later. So yeah, shout out to Ashanti.
And I just made an error. I want to correct this before someone start calling me. I said politically defeated. I meant militarily defeated. Politically and ideologically, the Panthers won. So I wanted to point that out. Anyway, good morning. It's Tuesday in America. You know what I'm saying? And our Monday here at RemiX Morning Show. And it's gonna be a great day. That's the word on the street. The word on the street. That's the word on the street. Happy to be here. 3 people I know transitioned over the past week, so definitely want to keep them in mind. One was an elder, one was a sister I grew up with, and the other was a young man who was right down the street from CMB on the same block. You know what I'm saying? So young organizer. So we want to keep. I don't want to name the names just yet, but I want to keep them in in perspective and remind us that every day, we're not promised every day. So, we rock with what we got. Anyway, speaking of that, the Ear Doctor's born date is on Thursday. What y'all think about that? Should we bake him a cake or?
Yes, let's bake him a cake.
Okay.
What do you mean no? Come out. What do you mean no?
Doing nothing for him. I ain't doing nothing for him. First of all, he needs to get his top 5 list better. If he gets some better top 5 lists up here, then maybe that's something for him. But don't put the top 5 list. Me and Terry, putting on there. Me and Terry be like, that's way after our time or before our time.
Yeah, for sure.
You and Terry. Wait, Terry. What the hell you mean? Yeah, for sure. He said you and him.
Just going along with it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh my
God. I
said,
so you called me your
elder. How old is he turning?
Anyway. Yeah, so that's hard.
How old is he turning? How old is he gonna be?
Probably 108. You talking about he's gonna be 46. I'm not sure, but But also, that's the same night they have the verses with Stephanie Mills and Shaka. And you've been talking about Stephanie a lot lately. Come on.
There's a Stephanie Mills and Shaka Khan verses?
Yes, there is.
Kind of late, man. You got to stay up on your verses. With your curses.
I will be there, B. I'm going to be there.
I don't even know what to... I don't have any favorites. I don't.
I'm going to need a pass. I'm going to have to show up live or something.
I've been hearing folks talking trash like Shaka going to crush Stephanie Mills, but I don't know, man. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all better know Stephanie. I mean, Shaka can sing. I don't think Shaka can out-sing Stephanie Mills.
No,
I don't think that's a real possibility.
I think Stephanie Mills has not. She's been underestimated.
Yeah,
I think, and that woman can blow, and I'm calling a tie. I don't think there's going to be any winners here.
Let's just say
you know,
they better be lucky Teddy ain't still alive, because if Stephanie would have brought Teddy to the verses, all bets would have been off. It would have been all over just that one song. Am I wrong?
No, but funny thing for
No.
me, like I've always known Shaka Khan. I actually didn't know who Stephanie Mills was until you know how you hear people's songs and you recognize the songs, but you don't know the name to it. I didn't know who she was, and probably till like the last 5 years. So it's funny, like on social media, everyone's saying Stephanie Mills. I'm like, really? Like, but I'm learning like she made like a lot of classic songs. So
Tierney, respecting the fact that you knew on the block, we won't kick you off the program today.
For disrespect.
No kicking anybody off the program.
I've heard the songs. Let me be clear. I've heard the songs. Like I've heard the songs. I can recognize them, but sometimes
you
don't
over
know.
30? I can't remember. Are you over 30?
I'm 30.
She just got 30.
She just slid in. So come on, y'all.
So we're gonna have mercy on you this time.
Gotta give her some grace.
Stephanie has had a hit, so I guess I can't.
Shaka Khan is more of a household name. Like I've heard that name like since I was a young child. Like.
Shaka Khan.
Okay. And Shaka Khan's a former Panther as well. Shout out to Shaka Khan for making an effort to do that work at age 16. You know,
a lot of people didn't know that about her. I was kind of surprised at how many people did not know that.
I mean, listen, there's a lot of people don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot we don't know, but it's
true.
You know, it's all good.
I'm dreaming of a Shaka Khan Stephanie Mills sandwich.
I don't know what that means.
Too much in the morning? Too much.
It said you sound like Jackie Lukman and our brother. I'm not gonna say
that's too much.
It does sound like that, yeah. But anyway,
continue. I don't know. He kind of would have liked that. Now that I think about it,
I know he would have.
Yeah, that would have been good.
You don't want to stop. Come on.
Yeah, it would have been. You know, Jackie, Stephanie sound. He would. Yeah, he would have done that.
Why do y'all do this when I'm on here? You know what I'm saying?
What?
But anyway, moving right along, despite Kamal's antics. Yeah, but I think Stephanie Mills definitely is going to be running with it. You know, Tierney, when you said you didn't know who Stephanie Mills was, you remind me of a brother we had on Renegade Culture, and we asked him who was his all-time great and who inspired him most. And the man said Music Soul Child. Almost left the studio. I'm like, man, out of all the singers,
is that bad? I like him.
I mean, liking him okay, but
all time.
I know, yeah, but
all time.
Man.
Was he from Philly?
No, that dude was from Mississippi. Shout out to Mississippi on that.
Dang, that's really bad. How old was he? 12?
Oh man, I ain't even gonna get with it today. But anyway, it's a lot going on in the world. We're gonna get to it. A lot of great things coming. There's a couple shows going on tonight. I know that the good folks at Howard, they have something at 5:30 p.m. We'll get you the correct title a little later on. Check it out on Black Power Media. We also Riot Started TV. We have a piece dealing with the civil war over in Ethiopia. We've got a couple good professors to stop it through to talk about that, because of the fact that I don't know. I feel like we have to start touching some of these things that's going on in the world. It's a lot of things that are going on, a lot of war, a lot of conflicts, and a lot of things are being swept on the rug. But it's millions of people dying in the meantime. So, you know,
I think that's really an important show, because I do think that there's a lot of propaganda around what's happening in Ethiopia. If anybody can sort of break through that propaganda and tell folks about that real history and how some of this destabilization came about, that'd be fantastic. So yeah, big ups. People should watch that show. Yeah.
No doubt. So that'll be at 8 p.m. tonight. But definitely you know, it's good shows happened this past weekend. Jackie came through on Friday with the knocking folks out. You know what I mean? You know, it's good little thing popping off. You know, so shout out to her on that work. Tierney, we know you got like a show every couple of hours, because you know what I'm saying, that's what African Esquire do. You know what I'm saying?
Not necessarily, but yeah, we have the weekend of WCC podcast, so everyone should check that out. It's lit last Saturday.
And what was WCC? Tell them what WCC is, because they're not familiar with We Charge.
We Charge Colonialism. Essentially, we're a number of people who want to just push forward the fact that colonialism is literally our problem. It's not these little pseudo problems that we get diagnosed with. It's not just police brutality. It's not just, you know, we need more jobs. Like, colonialism is what it is. So that's literally the focus of what we try to do. So as far as like last week, we covered Ethiopia, we covered G20. You know, we try to cover things all over the diaspora so that people can have an understanding that we're all connected as far as the African struggle. So check us out, WCC Podcast, 10 a.m. every Saturday.
Cool.
That's how you promote your show real quick. But anyway, with that in mind, definitely. So you can't say you don't have any political education online because of the fact that we got it somewhere. Somebody got it. Somebody with us. Anyway, speaking of that, Mr. Dr. Ear Doctor.
Ear Doctor.
Yeah. You know what time it is. It's time to give y'all that weather report, whether you know it or not. It's the weather report. So let's go ahead and get it started.
Never knew love like this before.
That's what they sound like when they were singing. Anyway, what's good, everybody out there? Welcome to the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and y'all are tuned into the best morning show in the universe, in case y'all didn't know. Now, let me let y'all know this real quick. What I like to make sure y'all do is hit that like, that subscribe button, and make sure y'all go to patreon.com and drop some change in there so we can make sure we keep this movement going. These cats is up here telling my age. I'm up here still getting carded to get in places, and they up here telling my age. Anyway, that's right. It is my born day coming up this Thursday. I got the present of Stephanie Mills and Shaka Khan, so that's a beautiful night for me. Anyway, check this out. Let's get to the weather report like this. I ain't even give you the weather report song. All right, here we go. Yeah. It's the weather report. Yo, it's the weather report, whether you know it or not. It's the weather report. So let's start off in Birmingham, Alabama. That's right, Birmingham, Alabama, where a lot of stuff went down back in the day. They got a high of 72 degrees, also known as Beham. Big up to Beham. Now let's take it to Chicago or Chi-Town, Chirac, all the different names they got for Chicago. Illinois got a high today of 50 degrees, only 50 degrees. Now let's go to a nice little island called Aruba. Aruba, they got a high today of 87 degrees. And I need to get over there and give me a little bit of sun and a little bit of sea. That would be nice. But next, let's take it over to Durban. One of my favorite words. I just like it. Durban. Durban, South Africa. 77 degrees is your high. And next, let's take it over to Agorica, Russia. That's right. Agorica, Russia, where they have a high today of -4. -4. That is cold, cold, cold. That's colder than the white man. Not just colder than the white man. It's colder than the trail that's left by Africa Bambaataa. That's right. Africa Bambaataa right now processes are trying to serve him. Processor called Calvin Nelson is trying to serve Bambaataa papers for the sexual trafficking and all types of other allegations that's been thrown at him from 1991 to 1995 with this 12-year-old. And the trail is cold. They are looking to serve him with papers, but the thing is, he gave him an address to a place where the lady was like, I don't know him. I've never seen him. What are you talking about? So right now, they are on the lookout for Africa Bambaataa, but that trail is cold. And that's what it is. Right here at the Remix Morning Show. Now let's get back to our hosts. All right. Yeah. Unmute your mic, come out.
I said that was kind of wild. The African Bambaataa reference.
I mean,
maybe he's got these books, and he's maybe Ashanti sent him a copy of these books, and he did his thing.
Hey, this is horrible.
He got up out of town. He was like, "Listen, I ain't ready for all that." So
that's
was cold.
Yeah, I don't even yeah, that shit right there. That's a whole nother story, man.
That's just
Africa Bambaataa. Yeah, that's horrible on so many levels. But yeah, I hope the people catch him and you know, enact justice in whatever manner needs to be. But anyway,
That's what it is.
thank you for
Yeah.
that weather report.
So you gonna check out? Wait a minute. I'm sorry. You gonna check out that versus though?
Oh man, you already know it. That's gonna be a dope versus. I can't wait till your girl sing "Home," Stephanie Mills, and I mean, what you gonna do for me? Come on, man, that's gonna be dope. I'm gonna be rocking out, have my little wine. You know what I'm saying? On my born day, chilling. That's what it is.
All
I'm
right.
out of here, man.
All right.
Catch
All
you on the
right.
break.
Yes.
Peace.
Who
I
knew
was
that the ear
waiting for
doctor
him.
could
I was
sing?
waiting for him to choose one so I could, say something snarky. But he's getting smart. He's getting smart.
Oh, okay.
He's
Okay.
he's
He can choose
decided
none this time.
he's figuring out that not to do that.
Okay. Jackie gonna loin them today. Anyway, let's go to the news where the map of the world is, or the globe.
What we got to
Woo.
start off with?
Yes. Man.
So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kalanji.
No. We want to hear Jackie rock. She said she's ready.
So a couple of things. Two things are going on among probably a lot of all of our mutual comrades. There's a lot in the news in the U.S. media and in imperialist Western media about Cuba, about Venezuela. There was a lot of garbage about Nicaragua. The New York Times posted a piece about the Nicaraguan elections and how Ortega shut down all the opposition and he jailed everyone and the elections were rigged and they weren't honest and blah 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 blah. Well, here's what the New York Times. Oh, and they also said that that there were no election observers in Nicaragua. There were just companions, election companions from Nicaraguan allied countries. They did not mention at all that there was an entire delegation of election observers from the United States. And that delegation of election observers included members of the Black Alliance for Peace and Pan African Community Action. And this video, it's 10 minutes long. So, of course, I'm not going to play the whole thing. But this video was produced by Netfa Freeman, who is an organizer with Pan African Community Action, which is a member organization of the Black Alliance for Peace. And he talks about the election. And they're actually showing you at the polling place, like the rolls, the voter rolls, for the people who were coming to vote.
By the first surname and then the second one.
And it's interesting that the New York Times didn't mention that there were any Black election observers in the country whatsoever, but there you saw Margaret Kimberly, Netfa Freeman. There were a couple of other comrades of ours there.
And we have 5 juntas, and each one of them should have at least 400 plus people.
So he's explaining how the election process, but I really want to highlight very quickly this part. This woman that he spoke to.
21, that the election is processed from this morning. We start at 6 a.m. Everything is calm, everything normal. Community really calm. People understand. They're coming out.
Is the volume low or is it? Okay, we're gonna have to.
Oh yeah, Netflix. He's asking about the impact of the Sandinista revolution on the Caribbean coast. This is a
Well,
community
for
called
me,
Bluefields on the Caribbean coast
it's
of Nicaragua.
from 2017 to right
Seven,
now,
seven.
7. It's very better. You know why? You have a lot of community, small community, didn't have light, and now they have. They didn't have road, and now they have road. No transport is through buses, taxi, anything can come in now. For example, here in our community, like how I explained before, was just through water, and it was dangerous. Student first student. You see this breeze, this is a night breeze in this kind of month where the door it torn over and you wet up your book, all everything wet up, and in the night to study you have to use we call it potash.
Kerosene lamp.
Yeah,
No,
kerosene
no,
where
no. Potash
potash is a
is just a
bottle.
bottle with a
You put
cloth,
a cloth
and then you light the cloth, and then they put diesel in the bottle. So then
Basically, I think they're talking
it
about
burning,
just
but it
a
through
piece
not,
of coal.
you
smoke,
know.
lot of smoke.
Toxic.
It does get your nose puff up with,
Yes,
with contil we call it. Yeah. That's it. That's the life we had before.
yes. And well, now we have like 24 hours. We like with good service. We have a water system. We have lots of things. So I see plenty different than 2017 right now. Lots of things. Students, you have seen the school, lot of help. You got the merienda scholar coming, the food for the children. Then you have books, bag, everything what the school need, and it's free of charge, no charge.
So that what she said is extremely important because here we have the United States claiming that Daniel Ortega is, this brutal dictator. He's an autocrat. He's, repressing the people. But here you have this woman who, and it is important that she is an Afro Nicaraguan on the Caribbean coast in a black community, extolling the virtues of the Sandinista revolution and Ortega coming back into power in 2007 in particular. And everything she mentioned, the fact that they have electricity, they have roads, the transportation is better, they have books for the kids, they have food. Kids have a good food program in schools, their educational system, they have health care. At the end, she said, everything is free of charge. Now, we've got the US media demonizing Nicaragua and Ortega because, and countries like Nicaragua that are still in the process of a socialist, establishing a socialist system. They demonize those countries because what that woman just said is what they do not want us here to know, that that is what those governments that the US is demonizing are doing for their people. And if all of us ever find out in this country that this is what a little country like Nicaragua, one of the poorest in the world, can do for its people, then why is it that we in the richest country in the world can't have the same? So, big ups to Black Alliance for Peace, Pan African Community Action, and our comrades who went over and were observers not just to the election, but to the strength of the Sandinista revolution.
No
Absolutely.
doubt. Definitely
Yeah, I mean, I
powerful
think
work.
it's always important to point out that the idea of the threat of the good example is one of the reasons why the United States continually attacks countries like Nicaragua. It's not because they were a military threat to the United States, because that's impossible because of how small those countries are and how big the United States is. But anybody who chooses to operate or tries to operate outside of the capitalist orbit, that tries to take workers and have them be paid some fair wages, that tries to redirect resources of the country back to their own people, those folks are threats to the United States system, to the very capitalist system. And therefore, the United States throws all that it can get away with at these countries to make sure that they are not successful, or to create a media narrative that shows that they are, like you were saying, brutal, that it's a dictatorship, that oppositions are being suppressed and so forth, and all that's to continue that propaganda blanket of making us believe that there's no other alternative economic system than what capitalism has to offer, and so why should we even search it out, right?
I'll say for me, with social media and the plethora of information that's come out, because at one point I thought, well, maybe people don't know like that there's so much positive things that you can get from a socialist revolutionary country. But I'm starting to realize a lot of people, there's people who don't know, but then there's people who know, but they're going to still fight the information. And it kind of reminds me of the fact that no matter what, you're going to believe what you want to believe. Whenever the recent attempt by the United States, to overthrow Haiti, the recent one, not Haiti, Cuba, I mean, regardless of all the information that came out about how the people in Cuba actually do regard their government, regardless of who came out, regardless of the Africans in Cuba who were vocal, like, no, that's not our reality. This is our reality. And we're so happy that, Batista's no longer in power. Irregardless of all of that, people still would run with the narrative of Cuba's racist. We have to help them. These things are happening. Socialism is robbing the people of Cuba. And so it's just interesting to see, once again, there's so much information out there that goes contrary to the narrative. And I no longer give people the excuse that, oh, well, maybe you don't know. The information's out there. The people who are pushing the message that these countries are brutal are doing so intentionally. They're people who have identified an interest inside of the class system, inside of the capitalist system, and are going to push propaganda. So I think that's just important to remember for those of us who might go on social media and we might see certain opinions being pushed by people. It's not that they don't know better. It's that they are doing the work of the machine to try to give the narrative that's completely false.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, it's the American way. It's what capitalism is. It's you have the bigger companies trying to make the smaller companies look bad, and to say, listen, we stole this shit and we stole it to make a profit. And then here these folks are talking about, let's give it away. You know what I mean? So it contradicts capitalism, and it makes it look as if, as if it's not working. So we say, go ahead and crush these folks because of the fact that they're trying to control you. They're trying to make sure that you eat. They're trying to make sure that you have free medical care. They're trying to make sure you have an education. What type of country is that? You know what I'm saying? Why would you want to live under a situation like that when it can be unequal? You know what I mean? When you can drive a Rolls Royce and this old lady could be getting kicked out of her home that she's had for over 40 years, and why shouldn't you have to pay for electricity? You know what I mean? What the hell is wrong with these people? You know what I mean? So it's white might in full effect, and it's temporary. Mm-hmm. It's a temporary thing. It's just unfortunately a whole lot of lives will be lost in the interim. But welcome to America.
Yeah, and just to continue that tradition of connecting with our brothers and sisters on the continent, there's another delegation of 75 comrades who are on their way to Cuba right now. They're community activists and faith leaders who are on their way to Cuba, and they're taking 2 tons of medical aid for distribution. But they're part of the Interreligious Foundation for Community Organization, multi-generational, racially diverse, gender diverse. I mean, they're really great people. It's a great organization. A few BAP comrades, I believe, are in that delegation. So, we have to always, I think, pay attention to who we are making the effort to connect with, because I think this is the only way that we really can achieve Pan-African solidarity. It's one thing to stay in this country and talk about it. It's another thing to go connect with our people throughout the diaspora and see how they're living so that we can learn from them. And I think that is my big lesson from all of these things that our people are doing, is that we have to get out of the mindset that we are taking some knowledge to these people. Our people in the diaspora have been struggling against imperialism for centuries. So I think we have a lot to learn from them. And I think that's one, thing that we do have to keep in mind, to go into these places with an open mind, not wanting to take a bunch of instruction, but really wanting to go and observe and learn.
Yeah.
Right. I'm glad you said that, because of the fact that even the quote unquote Africans in America, we're so arrogant with our enslavement, arrogant with our oppression. You know what I'm saying? We feel like if a person's not speaking English, then they're oppressed. You know what I mean? We had Murray Fanon on the other day, on Riot Starter TV, and there was a brother asked me, said, "Man, I don't know how you sit through that, because of the fact I didn't even understand what she was saying. She could hardly speak English." I'm like, wow, this is. I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? You know what I mean? Well, you figure, if you're gonna have someone on, I said, listen, dude, you know what I mean? It's amazing that we're sitting here arguing over which colonizer's language is
That's language.
yeah, who so even with how we move and how we think, it's a sense of arrogance even in our oppression. You know what I mean? Like my man said, we want to be the slaves with the flyest chains and the biggest whips. You know what I mean? So indeed, we have to learn the culture and the nature of the people and get an understanding, because clearly the system that we've been operating out of is, it's void. It's not working. You know what
Can
I
I
mean?
also say
So
something on
yeah, please.
Also, particularly us in the English-speaking African diaspora, I think we have to make intentional efforts that we do not become the voice of the African liberation movement, as if there aren't equally as many Africans in the French-speaking diaspora, from Haiti to Francophone Africa. And I see a lot of that, people who feel like, we can speak for the entire African experience without talking to, including people from the different languages, from the Portuguese speaking African diaspora, from the Spanish speaking African diaspora. So I think also with the colonial mentality, a lot of us kind of think that because the UK and US have probably had the most infamous empires, that we could speak solely as if we're the most authoritative voices on this subject, but we're not. So it's something that we have to consistently check, because colonialism has ingrained us with this divide and conquer complex, where we try to feel like we're the better ones.
And that dwindles down to community organizing. You have folks talking about what the hood need, what the streets need, and all that. And you have all these panels and shit, but you don't see anybody from the hood. You know what I'm saying? You're telling the motherfucker that lives in a situation what they need to do to get out of that situation, when you're not involved in that situation. You understand what I'm saying? So it's easy for you to speak on things that you don't know, but it's a sense of arrogance as well, because of the fact that, look, I'm the authority on this particular situation. Why? Because of the fact that I've mastered the English language. You know what I mean? So this cat over here in the hood, who grew up in the hood, who's been oppressed, been abused by the police and the state, all of their lives, who's lived in a food desert all of their lives, you're going to tell them what's best for them because of the fact that you've read a little bit more than they've lived. You know what I mean? So again, man, colonialism's a motherfucker, boy. You know what I'm saying? It trickles down and everybody gets wet.
Yep.
Everybody in between. But anyway, moving right along. Tierney, you have another story that you want to rock out?
Yeah, I want to touch a little more on. I know we see what's going on with Ethiopia. The United States trying to once again cause regime change on the continent with that specific country, which to me is very concerning, obviously, because we know Ethiopia's importance inside of just the economic well-being of Africans. We were talking about it on our podcast. I said, if Ethiopia goes down, we're going to have a real problem. So we have to take this very serious. But I did want to talk a little bit about, it looks like this strategy as far as what do you do whenever you're inside of a country that is undergoing regime change. And there's no one to really appeal to. There's not, Libya probably would have been the best person, under Gaddafi, to have been a good ally to Ethiopia inside of this circumstance. But what we've seen this past week, Paul Kagame infamous neo-colonial puppet. He pays a visit to Ethiopia. It seems like trying to show solidarity, and then now Uhuru Kenyatta has gone to Ethiopia. So these are neo-colonial puppets. I'm very sure that if the United States makes that phone call, you need to fall back. They're going to fall right back. But I think it's an interesting question to pose. Inside of this current world where a lot of the revolutionary countries have been the movements, a lot of them have been weakened, or in the case of Libya, overthrown. What do African countries do whenever you are facing regime change? How do you lean on those neo-colonial puppets who are going to, try to show solidarity and whatnot? It's an interesting dynamic I just wanted to discuss.
Yeah, I think it all gets complicated because of that, because the purity of actors, is just probably not there as it was when a lot of these folks were getting liberated back in the 50s and 60s. And 70s, right, where people had clear either revolutionary socialist politics, and nowadays, because again of some of the neocolonialism being able to defeat those radical movements, actually destroy, murder, kill, that now countries are taking different tacks. Unfortunately, there is a lot of corruption. I think the sort of narrow nationalism. When you look at a country like Ethiopia, which at one point the ethnic differences were not something that was a matter in which folks had were thinking about breaking up a country over, right? And at some point within one of the dictatorships, one of the ways in which they started to control the country, similarly to how the Europeans have been controlling other areas by the way they divided up the map and the way they carved up the map. A lot of the ethnicity differences got highlighted in Ethiopia, and now people started fighting over power based on their differences as opposed to what they have in common. And again, the world powers have played off of that. So some of the very same people who were once in power, once they lost power, they are now calling for revolution and their own control over land. And participating in dividing up Ethiopia. And I think the Western powers in two ways. One is a little bit of the work that Ethiopia has been doing with China. And two is the issues around Ethiopia and Egypt are playing major roles in the West demonizing the Ethiopian government that they once praised, and putting sanctions on these folks in a way to help break up Ethiopia, like you said, to break up the strength of a country like Ethiopia, which in some ways is also it's underplayed in some of the conversations we have, but has been at the heart of Pan-African resistance. Not only its own history of not being colonized, but where the original UNA, well, I mean not UNA, UOA,
African
Union,
yeah.
UA was stationed, and that matters to folks as they look to break Africa apart and break away the potential of strong African nation states that are now beholden on the West.
Yeah, it reminds me of, the situation, like, it reminds me of when Malcolm X said, we're trapped, triple trapped, double trapped. Because we are, like, what do you do in that situation? Like, who do you appeal to? Like, when the United States, the biggest giant as far as biggest imperialist power, has you in its radar. You do have to, unfortunately, lean on people who, again, like just one phone call, Joe Biden to Kenyatta, fall back. That's literally going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Tune in tonight, 8 p.m. Black Power Media. We're gonna go in depth. Ethiopia, Civil War, what's going on, what's been going on, the history. Because like Tierney said, it's important. It's like, we have to deal with these small fires before they get too damn big. And this right here, I think Ethiopia is probably the last hope for the continent right now. You know what I mean? If they do what they would like to, then it's going to be hella fire burning, for lack of better words. We already have the situation in the Congo and all over, and it's just it's getting out of hand, so it's got to be dealt with. I want to point out tomorrow, shout out to our brother Dr. Jared Ball. He just reminded me that Netfa will be on tomorrow speaking on Nicaragua, him and some of the folks, the young folks who was out there. So make sure you stay tuned to our Black Power Media tomorrow. Also tonight, 5:30 p.m., the State of Black Liberation panel. It is the State of Black Liberation panel, which will include Claudia Jones School, the UMCP, NAACP, and Black Power Media folks as well. That'll be from 5:30 to 7. And again, at 8 p.m., we'll be dealing with what's going on in Ethiopia. Anyone else got anything good to say on this beautiful day here in America?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
Jack in the building.
yeah, I just think it's interesting that I think we are entering a period, and this is just my own personal feeling. I think we are entering a period where we are going to have to be very clear about who our allies are, and we're going to have to explain and understand these internal struggles on the continent and throughout the diaspora in order to do that. So, I'm really, really excited about this show tonight on Ethiopia because yes, it's a complicated, it's not complicated, it's complex. It's a complex situation. But imperialism makes things complex and they make it complex so it makes it difficult for us to want to understand it. We look at the situation, we look at the history, and we're like, oh, that's too much. I can't figure out who's who. And because you know how we are, we're the microwave society. So we want everything quick, easy, and simple. And
Right.
imperialism is not that. So I really am excited about the show tonight. I'm trying to get in contact with someone who is in exile from Eswatini, who is who is in exile from the last monarch on the continent. That's another one of those fascinating complex stories that we need to know about that's going on the continent. I mean, we need to know what's going on in Colombia. The struggle of Afro-Colombians is intense, and I wouldn't have known as much about it if I hadn't gone myself and seen it and talked with these Afro-Colombian people who I didn't share a language with, but I understood that I shared the struggle with. So, these are the kinds of things that I'm proud that we do, here in Black Power Media. And, in between time, in the meantime, we get to have a little fun. We do this show and we do things that are enjoyable, but I really feel like we are at a moment where either we are serious about international solidarity, Pan Africanism, and the struggle for liberation, or we will lose. I really feel like that in my whole spirit right now. So I think this moment is pivotal for all of our lives.
Yeah, I would
No
just say
question.
to that, I think, unlike, when we cover places like Latin America and the Caribbean, where you've had not only some governments that have held on to, let's say, the 60s fire, early 60s, late 60s fire of having a socialist revolution, but you've also had 80s, 90s, up until this time period, where you've had social movements and socialist and left governments actually come to power in various ways. Unfortunately, we have not had that the same way in Africa, in the larger continent of Africa, since the defeat of African socialism again in the 60s and 70s. And I think that's a great area for us to have some experts on and explore some of the reasons why, like why has some of those sort of left-leaning left-leaning apparatuses not reappeared as much on the African continent? What are the various reasons? What are the movements that are currently taking place? But why hasn't state power been re-seized in a lot of these places? Is it that we are just ignorant of some of the things that are happening? Is it that the propaganda model is so strong that we don't even look at some of those leaders who are leading in certain ways? And so we just discount them because the American and Western media just calls them bad and evil, and we don't even look there. So I think we need to explore that part more, not only what's happening on the ground, but why, again, haven't some of these things reemerged, at least as sort of pockets of fire, as they have in some other places around the world.
Yeah, I think they've been doing been doing a good job of squashing it. You know what I'm saying? Because of the fact that there's been a number of fires set, but it's like they understand that the resources in Africa are so important, and to have certain types of individuals in leadership right now is a threat to the economy worldwide. Because of the fact, if you think about it, damn, everything that's needed is coming up out of the continent. You know what I mean? So if you look at some of the places with the biggest fires, tap in. What are the resources they have? You know what I mean? So, I think that it's been a concentrated effort on the entire continent. That would be my thing. But indeed, I would definitely like to explore that as well. And I guess that same question could be asked about, us in the United States. It seems like there was more resistance or more organization and coalitions during the 60s as well here in this particular area. I mean, in our region, but
I do think Zimbabwe should get special recognition, because on that path to revolution, completely shut out by the international community, completely punished, made an example of, to the point where you hear all the time when you're watching African news channels, don't want to be like Zimbabwe, don't take your land back, Zimbabwe.
Right.
So, we see what happens when we do assert sovereignty, and Ethiopia, of course, is the latest example. And I think, like you said, Kalanji, Africa is literally, it's the most rich continent minerally. Has the most, the land potential, agriculture, everything that they need. And so if that particular region were to have a revolutionary movement, I think it's like all hands on deck as far as all of the colonial powers at once. Like we saw, it wasn't just the US that went after Gaddafi. It was US, and then he went to NATO and had all his peeps, go after this one country. So I think it's just the region is so strategic and so dear to the colonial empire that they're willing to do everything to make sure that they're constantly flooding Africa with, even with these watered down, civil society movements that are not going to threaten the system, but they're going to focus on rights that don't necessarily go towards economic rights. So we'll focus on, we'll focus on parent planning, and we'll focus on disabilities, but we're not going to focus on the fact that this corporation right there is flooding your community with pollutants. It's very intentional how they put people who are goodwill supposedly inside of African countries to kind of move the movement to talk about these issues, but let's leave these issues off the table.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly to the US, the wave of the NGOs, right?
Yep.
And if you look at, and I think South Africa obviously needs to be studied more, because that's a perfect example of the ANC was once a revolutionary organization, not only revolutionary, but believed in armed struggle, right? And through sort of the breadth of Western neocolonialism, right, settled for deciding that they would take the governmental reins, right, of the country, but completely leave intact the economic control of the country in the white South African hands and in the Western European system, economic system, which has doomed, right, the masses of South Africans to toil, the same toil, and in some cases, some statistics point out worse than under the actual regime of apartheid. So there's a lot to discuss and break apart there, I think. Yeah.
No doubt. Bring Lumumba back. That's what we need. You know what I'm saying? We need another Lumumba. And
1,000 Lumumbas.
Yeah, and they're out
1,000
there.
Sankaras.
Man, listen, I have so much faith in Africa that they've been the people we need are being bred right now. They're rising up right now in our midst while we talking about what we talking about. They're training right now. I have that faith and that confidence in Mother Africa. You know what I'm saying? There's no doubt in my mind. You know what I'm saying? In fact, I have more confidence in what's going on in the continent than I do here in the very hellhole we're resting in right now. But with that in mind, speaking of somebody that's hell on the wheels, you got to bring back the weatherman, the honorable Mr. Ear Doctor.
I thought what you was gonna say. Speaking of Lumumba, and bring me back, but
no, I was gonna say speaking of La Bamba. La Bamba. I would say La Bamba, not Lumumba.
La Bamba.
Word.
Good.
I'm gonna give y'all a quick break and let y'all know what's been going on BPM and introduce y'all to a new show that came out. So let's get to it.
Let's do it.
RemiX Morning Show.
Aight. All right. What's good, everybody? Welcome out to Black Power Media. This is the RemiX Morning Show, and I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. And in case you didn't know, we had some pretty dope shows this past week. We had Dr. Jared Ball, I Mix What I Like. He had What the Color of Money Misses. You had actually big up to everybody that came out Sundays and rocked for the New Jersey versus New York mix. It was dope. Y'all got to make sure y'all come because it's live. There ain't no playbacks. We also had a Solid Secure documentary that dropped on Black Power Media. Jackie talked about her trip to Colombia. Warrior class. We had some more training going on. We had daughter Franz Fanam on Riot Starter TV. Also, we had Dr. Jared Ball come and talk to Dr. Sudiata on Real Talk, and also on the Black Miss podcast. So we got a whole bunch of stuff going on. Just wanted to let y'all know to check out the shows. But we do have a new show that just dropped, and it goes by the name of Brokish. And with this show, Brokish, you have two sisters, Amber and Erica. So what I want to do is I want to give y'all a little piece of it so y'all can check it out and fill out what they're talking about, so y'all can tell a friend that yes, indeed, it is on again. Check this out.
We are live.
All right. Is America really the land of opportunity for all? Doesn't gentrification actually make bad neighborhoods better for everybody? And wait a minute, would urban revitalization and an influx of capital even be necessary if Black people would just take care of their neighborhoods? Y'all, we are talking about it after the break. So we're doing something a little bit different today. We are live, y'all. I'm Amber.
And I'm Erica.
And this payday, we are talking about gentrification and the economic despair that you often see in Black America. So welcome.
I don't do video. This is a really big stretch for me, Amber, to actually be on video. We've got a whole guest and all of this at one time.
Y'all memorialize this day.
Yes.
Because Erica's face is live and on camera with makeup on, which she didn't tell nobody she was wearing makeup, but that's okay. Erica's face is live and on camera, and the goal is for us to have so much fun that she wants to do it again and again and again. And that's why we had to have a special guest today. And not only do we have a special guest for y'all, we are recording for the 2020 Virtual Prosperity Summit organized by Prosperity Now. So if you've heard an episode of Brokish in the past, you know that we love our friends over at Prosperity Now. We lean on them a lot for research, for the studies and information that we talk about on a lot of the episodes. So it is a joy for them to allow us to share an episode of Brokish at their conference. So thank you.
Yes. That is what it is. So check out Brokish. Check that out. That is a new joint dropping right here on Black Power Media. Go and support their sisters because they got some financial stuff to be talking about. And that's a very nice topic right there. Human ownership to home ownership. So yeah, that's a definitely big topic. And speaking about gentrification, we might as well go ahead and bring our host back, because I know that Kamal definitely is dealing with gentrification with community movement builders. So let's talk about that a little bit on the comeback with the RemiX Morning host. Let's go. Yeah.
What's happening?
Brokish. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm glad that they
Yeah.
decided to come on camera. There was a lot of feedback on that. And they're
Right
dealing with
now.
some real issues in different ways. And I think they're challenging their own politics also at the same time. So it's cool to have these folks come on and share their wisdom and share their guests and all that kind of stuff on the show.
So Kamal, let me ask you, since talking about gentrification, when it comes to people saying, well, it's about time somebody came and fixed up those hoods, because nobody would have ever fixed it. It would just stay ugly and broke down looking. So good thing for gentrification. What do you say to that?
I said that they've lost their mind, because the idea that gentrification has nothing to do with developing a community for the current residents that live there. Gentrification is about taking over a community and pushing those residents out so that they can replace them mostly with middle class folks, middle class white folks overwhelmingly, who can afford to buy from the places, to pay the new rent, to buy the more expensive housing. So I think people have it really confused. I think sometimes we think that any development is good development, as opposed to who's in charge of this development and who is it for. When people are putting in Starbucks in your neighborhood, when they're building condos in neighborhoods that never had condos before, and when home prices go from 60, 70, 80,000 to 300 and 400,000, that's not good for a community. That's good for people who are developers again, and middle class folks, because they get a new place to live. But for those working class and poor folks, they just get pushed out. They get pushed further out of the central city. They have less access to resources. They have less transportation to get to their jobs. So those folks are the people who suffer under gentrification. But again, lastly, the propaganda motto tells us any development, any shiny new building somehow means that there's progress afoot, as opposed to punishing poor and working class people and pushing them out with more policing, in addition to making sure that they can no longer afford to live in the places they live their whole life.
Thank you for that breakdown, good sir. I'll catch y'all next break. Peace.
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 All righty.
Oh, we
Yeah,
lost
that's-
Tyranny.
Remix
Tyranny
one.
ducked out. We didn't even get a chance to say goodbye.
Oh.
Man, Tierney says she's tired of us. She's like, Erica, she's like, I'm getting tired of your shit. Anyway, shout out to Brokish. Definitely good to have a variety of shows on BPM.
Mhm.
You know, it's good to I'm glad to see us expanding in different ways, because we have so much. We are not monolithic. We have so much style and flavor, and we need to rock with it. But anyway, speaking of Georgia, gentrification and all that good stuff, the Ahmaud Arbery trial, this
Yeah.
shit. And it's crazy that it's even being called the Ahmaud Arbery trial, as if he is the suspect.
He ain't on trial.
Exactly. Ain't that some shit? Ain't that some shit? I mean, Jackie, I know you know what's going on. I mean, you know, we got folks yelling about the black preachers. We don't need no more black pastors up in here. These crackers out of control, boy. It's like
Yeah, speaking of being tired of people shit, the judge in the trial for these three killers of Ahmaud Arbery is tired of the defense's shit, because this dude actually said that the lawyers for the Georgia men on trial for murdering Ahmaud Arbery tried to convince the judge to declare a mistrial. Why come? Because too many black preachers up in the
yes.
courtroom. This man actually said that we don't want any more black pastors coming in here. And he said this after Reverend Al Sharpton came to court one day and sat with Arbery's family. Another day, Reverend Jesse Jackson came to court and sat with his family. Um, just you know, just the fact that now I understand people have their issues with religion or whatever, and I know that people have political issues with those two dudes in particular, especially Al Sharpton. But the
I'm
man
with him this
actually,
time.
yeah, the man,
Yeah.
but the man actually is an ordained minister. So is Jesse
Yeah.
Jackson. But I mean, the fact that we're supposed to be, if the courtroom is open, if it's public, if it's not a sealed trial, then anybody can go and sit in the court. And if people are guests of the family, then what your problem is? So the fact that this white man got up in court and said, we don't want any more black pastors in here, all of this foolishness from these people about uh, their faith and Christianity and God this then a third. I'm with Abdul Shahid Lukman on this. These people are Gog and Magog, and I just the fact that this dude tried it. He tried to declare a mistrial because there was too many black pastors up in that joint.
I mean,
Was wild.
the latest they're talking about wanting to declare mistrial because the mother was crying in court.
Mm-hmm.
Her
Mm-hmm.
son hasn't been dead for a year.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? Literally, her son was assassinated, was murdered around the time we started BPM. Literally.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right at that time, that's one of the first joints that we dealt with. And you're saying that, first of all, the whole thing with the pastors. First of all, when you look at this lawyer, what's his name? Kevin Gog or Goff, whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah, Kevin Goff.
First of all, he looked like old school white. He looked like old school cracker. I'm talking about a straight Southern Georgia cracker. When you look at him, he looked like he got that suit from J.C. Penney's back in 1964. You know what I'm saying? Got the same hairstyle.
There he is.
They don't even understand why they even there having a trial, period. That motherfucker said, we don't need no more black pastors. And like, who the fuck is you to talk about how many black pastors you need? What are y'all gonna do? A check at the door? Are you a preacher? What type of shit is that? I ain't never heard no shit like that before in my life. And then for them to say, okay, well, the mother burst out crying in the courtroom, and that had some of the jurors saw it and all that shit. What is she supposed to do? You take this woman's son, this black woman's son, who was jogging. You make every effort to demonize and criminalize him. Everything that you came up with was bullshit. Then you got these henchmen, these slave owners, these slave captors who decided that he shouldn't be jogging while black through their neighborhood, through their community. And when we say stop, boy, you stop or we will kill you. That's basically what they're saying to you. And now they don't even understand why it's a trial. These crackers are really looking like, what you mean? They're niggas. They're niggers, as he said. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? And yeah, so shout out, and I thought I'd never say this in my life. Shout out to Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. Like my grandmother used to say, right ain't gonna wrong nobody. If you ain't gonna do nothing, like Bunchy Carter said, if you can't do nothing but spit, then nigga spit. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Fill the courtrooms, many pastors you could. If that's what they don't want pastors, then have a prayer vigil outside that.
Yeah. And even though I'm sure the argument was made outside the jury, obviously a whole courtroom setup is meant to deal with not only so-called facts, but emotion, right? So the reason they'll have in the other trial, the Rittenhouse trial, right? You had that defendant crying. I'm sure if they were to put, no one's calling for a mistrial there. And I'm sure in this trial, if they happen to put on one of the defendants, he's going to be filled with emotion, talking about how he thought his life was in danger, that kind of thing. So obviously these are ploys, and again, even though it was set outside of the jury, the motion was probably made. I'm sure the hope is that it gets back to the jury, right? The hope is that somehow bringing up again the racial antagonism is something that they're going to hope plays within the jury's minds to move towards, if not a complete acquittal, at least a mistrial. And I think that is what the strategy of the defense is, to somehow, if not get a mistrial, I'm going to get a hung jury. So if not get an acquittal, is to try to get a hung jury to make it expensive for the prosecutors to continually retrial the case. So I think that's where their hopes are, is that somehow they're going to get a hung jury, and obviously using race, because it's always worked in the American judicial system, right? And I think Kalonji completely right. These folks are more like, how dare you inconvenience me by putting me on trial for something that's my natural born right to do, which is to kill Negroes, right?
We do this together.
It's like that's our history. We've always done that. Who are you to challenge that history? And at
Yeah.
first, that's what was going to happen because the prosecution didn't want to do anything. The police didn't arrest anybody.
Right.
They was just like, "Oh, you did that? Oh, good job. Good job."
Right. Kill another nigga.
And it was only through the public pressure that that they had to sort of step back and do something pro forma, and we'll see where it leads to, whether or not there's some conviction. Yeah.
And then you got Rittenhouse with his Pugsy Adams looking ass up there crying and shit, looking like goddamn Pillsbury Doughboy, him and his punk ass mother. You know what I'm saying? You go out with the intention of being a vigilante. You take your white ass out there. I mean, first of all, I hate to even say if he was black, but I mean, come on, man. If he was black, he would have been dead. You know what I'm saying? He'd have walked his ass out there with that weapon. There would have been no trial. It would have been trial by fire. They'd have opened fire in his ass, and that would have been that. You know what I mean? Especially if he shot some white boys. I mean, let's be clear. But the ill shit about that whole thing is the fact that while this is taking place, the officer who actually shot Jacob Blake, he's actually back on the job, smiling and shit. You know what I'm saying? This motherfucker has been cleared. He's returned to duty, and he's back in his squad car kicking the Willy Bobo. Meanwhile, this shit is still going on. Now, this took place August of 2020. He's back on the job in his patrol car. Rittenhouse is on trial, and the victims themselves are made out to be the suspect. Why? Because of the fact that they had the audacity, again, when we talk about the racial component, they had the audacity to go protest the attempted murder of a black man here in America.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Who was paralyzed, and I mean, by whatever being, whatever the grace of God or the nature or whatever the case is, Jacob Blake actually survived. You know what I'm saying? But this cat is back on the job, smiling. He's eating well. Rittenhouse is looking like he's on his way to, I mean, they already dropped the weapons charges,
right?
Which
was
were
wild.
Yeah, but I mean, it's looking like it's about to be over. And as somebody in the chat mentioned, his mother is 38 years old. I mean, this old hoe looking, she look like she straight out the trailer. I mean, I'm talking about she looked like her diet was nothing but hog maws and pig back and pig shit. And I mean, I think they all should be. Now. She should be on trial her damn self.
Don't shame trailer park living now. Don't blame that.
I mean, well, my apology to all our trailer park fans. You know what I'm saying?
That's evil.
How about meth park? Can we say meth park?
Okay. Well, all right. That's evil. That's what happens when you evil. Evil ages your ass real evil. Good.
Yeah. She aged like a motherfucker. I can't even believe she's 38. I mean, that shit's like crazy, man. But
that was
this is ill, man. It's like this is the America that we live in. Meanwhile, again, down here in Georgia, you have Kendrick Johnson, you know what I'm saying, who still hasn't gotten justice yet. In his case, there were no arrests. No arrests. You know what I mean? And they damn near got away with it, but I don't think they you never get away with it. You know what I'm saying? It'll come back to them. But anyway, gotta love it.
Yeah.
So what's gonna be the outcome?
You know what? I really do believe that Rittenhouse, if he is found guilty of anything, it'll be he'll get some ridiculously light sentence. The only guaranteed, and correct me if I'm wrong, Kamal, but the only guaranteed charge that he had against him was just dismissed by the judge, and that was the gun charge. And the judge dismissed that on some weird technicality about the length of the stock and that kind of bullshit. So the fix, I think, is in. I would not be surprised if he is acquitted. But I also think that because the governor has already called out the National Guard, I think people are afraid that if they don't find him guilty of something, then they're going to have some more hell on their hands, which they should. But I mean, I think if he's found guilty of anything, it'll be so inconsequential that, he may get, very little time, if any. Um, the Arbery case, I think, is different because I think the judge is really not having. I'm sorry, not the Arbery case. The case of Arbery's murderers is different. I think because the judge is really not seeming to be having he's not taking, the defense attorney shit. So I think there may be some guilty. I think there may be a guilty verdict in that case, but that's just how it's looking right now. I mean, either way, regardless of what happens, none of it is justice for us because the system that creates these kinds of situations where these trials have to happen, that system is still in place. So,
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with your analysis. I think that obviously, like, we don't know, but if historical precedent is anything, it is that either we're looking at acquittals or short sentences. And I agree, though, in the Arbery case, that the possibilities are greater right now for conviction, and I think some of that again is because of the videotape. But it's hard to know for sure. But the most important thing about what you just said is that it's not justice at all, because it's only in these high profile cases, right, that we begin to have these discussions and debates. But what we really understand, what we should understand at least, is that the criminal justice system or injustice system is something that happens every day, every minute, every hour, in which, for the most part, Black defendants and overwhelmingly Black male defendants are arrested at higher rates, are charged at higher rates, are convicted at higher rates, and are given longer sentences. And a lot of times, those convictions are based on illegal actions by the police. They're based on lies by the police. They're based on false information by the police. They're just rounding up anybody and everybody that they can get. And as long as it's a dark face, they're willing to charge and to convict. And that's the system that we live in. And so when we get these high profile, so similar to the idea of police brutality, we get these high profile killings, which obviously make us react, but is the day-to-day harassment and stop and frisk and arrest, which happen in the literal millions that take place in our community. And those are the things that will continue to happen, whether or not there is a conviction or not a conviction, because that is how the system is designed to work.
I predict that Rittenhouse or Wrightenhouse, whatever the fuck his name is, will be in law enforcement in the next 5 years. You know what I'm saying?
You're probably right.
You will have some job in law enforcement because of the fact that that's how they get down. Again, the cop, Rusty Snarky, whatever the fuck his name is, that shot Blake, he's back on the job. The same officer who killed Tamir Rice, it was him murdering someone else prior to shooting someone else in another city, another town, prior to that particular situation that got him, that got him, gave him the job that he had. You know what I'm saying? So, this is, we're not surprised. I think that it's more, I don't know, it's like a television drama or something. You know what I'm saying? It's on repeat. The same stories, a Lifetime movie or some shit. You already know the outcome. And we're shocked these days if there is a conviction, or if there's a conviction that it carries weight, because a conviction doesn't even guarantee that, that there'll be a sentence, right, handed out. It can be out in a matter of months, if that, so, yeah, man, we are what we eat. You know what I'm saying? We're eating terror here in America.
Another day in the United Snakes.
Another day in the snakes. I'm going to have a very special guest on at 9:25, a filmmaker. You know what I mean? So we'll get to him afterwards or whatever. But for now, we have the almighty DJ of DJs. You know what I'm saying? The man, the myth, the legend, the ear doctor. I don't know where the hell he at.
Scorpio.
Scorpio. That's right. We representing right now. I'll give y'all a little mix. Get y'all energy right for this week. You know what I'm saying? We got to get it up. So give y'all a little mix. Let's get to it, yo.
Remix.
All right.
Remix Morning Show.
Black Power Media, y'all. Let's go. Come on. Take y'all back a little bit. Maybe I'm gonna all my freestylers out there. We getting y'all ready for this week. Big up to all my Scorpios. Sagittarius season coming next. But y'all gotta relax right now. So that's your little break right here. Once again, don't forget, hit that like button, that subscribe button, and rock out with us right here on Black Power Media, because this is the Remix Morning Show. So let's get y'all back to the host of this beautiful show, because we got a dope interview coming up. So let's get to it. And don't forget, I am
the ear doctor.
All right.
Me and you, son.
Right.
Oh, there we go. I was like, what's going on?
Hey, cats gotta take their bathroom breaks, man. You know, that bladder gets smaller the older you get.
Hey, I was giving y'all time to bond, man. You know,
we don't no time. We need no time.
Yeah,
I got Stephanie in the bathroom.
Wow.
I got Stephanie. I've been thinking about it. I got Stephanie Mills.
Kalanji got that young old bladder.
Wow. I
don't want to talk about his bladder. That's one of the things.
I don't know how this man.
Bladder's off limits.
I don't understand why this man concerned about my bladder. That's kind of different.
I don't want to know about all that. But I see Jackie had to go. She probably had to go to her day job. So just want to acknowledge that she's also.
I thought you were gonna say something about her bladder. Yeah, cool.
I don't want to talk about nobody's bladder, B. I don't. It's funny that's my off limits. I don't know why, but the bladder.
I was about to say you can talk about dead people all day and dead MCs, but yet you can't talk about a bladder.
Ain't nobody died this weekend, actually, by the way.
Anyway, let's get above the stage.
Let's
get him off as if the ear doctor's not supposed to be on. I mean, supposed to be on. But anyway,
rock out.
Yes, thank you, sir.
So you got an interview coming up, sir?
I got an interview coming up, man. This brother is a filmmaker. You know what I'm saying? His name's Ed Easy Stokes. He's a native of Brooklyn, New York. Where you from? You know what I'm saying? He's works in both narrative and documentary films. He's worked on a film called Books Through Bars, bringing literature to the incarcerated, as well as Black in the Holy Land, which is directed by Mark Lamont Hill. Worked on something called Something in the Trees. And he has he's done work for everybody from Black Enterprise to OK Player, Arise News, and other media outlets. And he has a brand new joint that he's going to be pushing out called Conversations, the Black Radical Tradition. So I want to welcome.
But wait a minute,
real quick, he's from the real Brooklyn, though, right? I need to come out and calm down.
You came back for that, B?
Yeah.
You came back for that? I'm sure you're from my part of town, Crown House, Bed-Stuy. You know what I'm saying? Do it die. That's how we live, son.
Y'all might be related. Anyway, we're gonna be back with man Ed Easy Stokes. Come out, you should stay on with our Brooklyn night. You know what I mean? To see so y'all can compare notes to see who's really from Brooklyn. Anyway, we're gonna be right back at you. Remix Morning Show.
Remix.
What's happening, man?
What's going on, my brothers? What's going on? First of all, I'm a fan of this show, so it's a great honor to be with the two of you. I thought I'd be here with the full all-star cast, but we got two of the five, so it's all good. It's all good. Peace and love.
Other cats got nervous. Kamal stayed because he heard you from Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying?
Flatbush, Flatbush, baby, Flatbush.
Flatbush, son. All right.
You will walk away. You're a couple of blocks away, a neighborhood away. But I see you.
Okay.
Salute.
I used to hang out in Flatbush. I knew a lot of Caribbean women.
You was hanging in the bush. Anyway, we ain't gonna be reminiscing on Brooklyn today.
We ain't gonna incriminate you too much, but that the gentrifiers are gentrifying, so you know how that goes. No doubt how that goes. But yeah, man.
Hey man, well, tell us about your work, man. I saw I got a chance to check out the trailer. I wanted to play the trailer today, but maybe we can get it popping tomorrow. I had a little bit of technical difficulties, but
okay, no doubt.
Give us the name of the film and tell us about some of the players that's involved.
All right, so the film is called The Black Radical Tradition, and it's a documentary film essentially highlighting what a Black rebellion has looked like and felt like in this country over the last 30 and 40 years. It features many grassroots organizers and activists and foot soldiers, political prisoners that you guys are very familiar with. I'll just run off a couple of names. We have an opening monologue from the great writer and freedom fighter Mumia Abu-Jamal. We hear original commentary from our brother Lockdown in the jail cell, Sundiata Akoli. We hear passionate testimonies and a portraiture-style interview from Pam Africa, Ramona Africa, Jaleel Mutakim, the great poet laureate Sonia Sanchez, the great Dr. Gerald Horn, the great Dr. Leonard Jeffries, one of our great writers of our time, Playthel Benjamin, one of our great Black independent writers of our time, Playthel Benjamin. We have the legendary Harry Belafonte. We have some grassroots organizers, Ya Asantewaa and Zinga. We have Sister, who else we got? Don't want to leave it. Can't name everybody, but don't want to leave anybody off. The late great brother Abdul Hafiz Muhammad from the Nation of Islam from Mosque number 7 out in Harlem. So we have a nice sort of round voices of men and women who have been on the forefront and, ultimately who have who have paid a great price, for speaking up for us and moving, ultimate towards Black liberation. So this film is it's I like to refer to as a living document, a living historical document. And it's my first feature-length documentary film. It's broken up into what I think is 4 digestible 30-minute chapters, and each chapter sort of hops around. So we start off with the anthology and the historical view of how we got, to this position. Then we sort of move to the contemporary and what are people who have lost things. Then we go down into the jail cells and we hear from political prisoners who have been locked down for 30 years and stories of redemption. And then finally, we hear sort of a message to the grassroots. You guys are familiar with the Black Marxism. Some of these titles that I've used in the film are a direct lineage directly from some of our great authors and some of our great books on Black liberation. So I hope to bring it to you guys very soon. Actually, Kamal is going to be in Atlanta playing November 17th. November 19th at the African Film Festival in Atlanta. So that's going to be virtual, and that's going to be November. The film festival starts November 20th and November 19th. My film is being played November 20th at 10 a.m. So
will you be here as well or what?
I will not be in Atlanta. Unfortunately, I got some media obligations here. But I'm going to try. The whole idea with this film is to get it out to people like you so that I can have screenings with, legitimate grassroots organizers. And because you guys are ultimately going to be teaching the next generation of people who are doing the work like yourselves and carrying on the torch. So it's important that this film is watched with the context of community elders, because it's chock full of information. I can promise you that you guys are of the age, so you guys, a lot of these stories you heard of them in real time while they were happening, but you may see some historical footage that you have not seen before. You may have hear some names from the past that aren't necessarily, certainly not in the mainstream, but sort of haven't been out in a while. So this film is definitely made for people who are teachers. It's definitely made for people who appreciate Black history, who want to learn from Black history, and ultimately want to do something. This film is essentially everybody who's in this film did something that, you know, they saw injustices that were happening and decided to give a damn. To the length that, you know, to the length that they took it, you know, you will see some people, you know, wrote books, some people academia, again, people like our Jalil Mutakim, you know, they took up arms and, you know, they paid the price for that. So, you know, the radical tradition, it looks different to different people. It means different things to different folks. And hopefully when you guys watch this film, you have a well-rounded view of, you know, where we are, where we're going.
You should definitely drop in the chat, and if you haven't already, leave with us the any propaganda that we can spread, any flyers, anything like that we can spread on the network. I got a trailer I can share with you, and I also have a film poster that I can share with you guys. Cool.
Yeah, and the folks, for the folks that's listening, because I'm not sure that we said the name, but it should be Conversations, the Black Radical Tradition, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. Conversation, the Black Radical Tradition. You can find the trailer. It's definitely on Vimeo. Right. And right now it's in the film festival circuit. Again, I'm shying away from, you know, selling this out to just like being a media whore and going to like the video on demands and the Amazons and all that stuff, because this is for us. You know, it was made for us. You know, and the idea is, you know, it has to be meaningful. It has to be something that is well circulated in our community. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, it's just like I had conversations with the ABCs and, you know, some of the you know, the big four corporations, and you know, some of these characters present an issue for obvious reasons, and, you know, that's not my problem. You know, it's just like the facts are what the facts are. This country has done what this country has done. And this film is not necessarily a gotcha, but it's an expose. And, you know, these are real people behind these feelings. A lot of people who follow this channel is just like they consider themselves the sons and daughters of Assata. So it's just like with that, as you guys point out, we need to know these stories of our brothers and sisters from the Black Liberation Army. And this documentary gives an unflinching account, a firsthand account from two of the 5 prominent members. So it's, you know, we get down and dirty. It's unapologetic. Your audience is familiar with Pam Africa. You know how off the cuff she is. So it's just like, you know, original
Shout
commentary
Pam,
from our guest sister. Yeah, absolutely. So this
I can see why the network decided to not go with it, or probably wanted to make cuts.
And that's okay.
I have I definitely want to we're going to link up because of the fact that we're on a circuit as well right now, so I can give you some context. We have a film organized as the New Cool, which is similar to what you're doing, but it's a different realm. But definitely, you know, I saw the trailer. I got a copy of the viewers copy. I'm gonna definitely check out the whole thing when I get a chance. But you know, it's you know, I mean, I think that for all the folks in the chat and all of the viewers and listeners, make sure that you support this brother's work because of the fact that we know a lot of the folks he named, including Abdul Hafiz
Muhammad,
Hafiz Muhammad, out of Harlem. Yes. He was definitely a worker as well, as far as on the grassroots. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's
and
clear
he's someone who
he
probably hasn't appeared in less than 5 documents, you know, in his lifetime. I know I did see one he did I know he was heavy into eating healthy, and I did see one with that. But, you know, you got brothers like that who've been doing the work, and it's like, you know, seldom is a microphone or a camera put in place in front of some of these brothers, you know.
I mean, Sundiata Kohli. I mean, that right there alone, you know what I'm saying? I mean, Sundiata is like 84 years old right now. You know what I mean?
And it's unfortunate because, you know, his condition is getting worse and worse. But this is someone who the state decided many years ago he was eligible for parole. I'm not going to go through his entire thing because you guys probably know better than I do. But, you know, the man has been up for parole for the last 20 years plus. And yet he is 84, 85, just, you know, withering behind bars. Just like, luckily enough, we were able to get Russell Maroon out. And, you know, I heard you guys, your program on that. You know, I got a chance to speak to his family. And he's just like, yo, straight up, there's nothing, you know, conditional about this release. It's just like, if he wasn't in the condition that he was in, he would not, you know, have the freedom that he has now. So it's just like, so again.
No, I'm sorry to jump in. But I was curious more about like a little bit about you. So with your politics in terms of making these kind of films, how is the industry? Because it sounds like, you got one foot in radical politics, let's say, and you also got a foot in some mainstream industry apparatus and stuff like that. There seems to be more of an opening to tell some of our stories, but of course, the way those stories get told, sometimes leave a lot to be desired, even if they're well made, even if they portray some of our folks as heroes. So I'm curious about how you feel like you're navigating the movie making scene, and do you feel like there are more opportunities to tell our stories, or you still, like as you've been saying a little bit?
I feel that there are opportunities to tell our story. Where I sort of am worrisome is the lens in which they get told. It's just like we had, the last couple of years, we had a lot of films that are based in Black power. We had one, Judas and the Black Messiah, that was more based on Judas than it was the Black Messiah. And it's just like, why is this the story that we want to tell? It's just like, we had the spook that sat by the door. It's just like great films like that. It's just like we need to be telling films sort of with that edge. And it's like Hollywood will let us have it, but they're not going to give you Nat Turner's Rebellion. They're not going to give you all 3 days of that rebellion. They'll give you 8 minutes of it, and then the rest of it will be, the hanging and what happens when you decide to be a rebellious, Black and a Black woman. So this is what America is interested in showing you. They'll show you the punishment of deciding to be a liberator. They will show you, the murder of Fred Hampton. It's like, not to harp too much on that movie, because I do like Shaka King and his work, but it's just like the latitude that they give us is just like that movie reflected probably a sentence or two of Hampton's politics, But this is what they give us. I think from a documentary standpoint, you're allowed a little more latitude because you're not just straight up making up stories. But it's again, these look at the figures that are presented to us. When I was making this film, I looked at the groundbreaking film Eyes on the Prize. Eyes on the Prize was great, and it was a monumental and historical achievement. But what is missing from that film? You have nobody from the Deacons of Defense. You have really nobody who decided to be an armed liberator. And again, that's not. And it goes to show me that America is going to decide who our heroes are, what our heroes are going to look like. And so some of this film, every film that a filmmaker makes, we get to sort of have our political statement or how our movement. And so I decided specifically to include people who had, picked up actual arms for liberation, to say that, yes, these people deserve, their story to be told, whether you agree, with the means of their liberation or not. It's just like, ultimately we're struggling together. So I have found that working in corporate media, I have been afforded because I produce and I come to with thorough knowledge that I have been able to push the envelope as far as certain stories being told. Now every year we're hearing about Mumia's case, specifically at I'll mention one organization at Black Enterprise Magazine. It's like I have pushed for the stories of just like not even necessarily political prisoners, but just Black folks who have been locked down because they decided to like take real action. And so these stories, the names are being mentioned. Again, they may not be getting into the nitty-gritty details of it, and but we it's moving in the right direction. I'm not, we have not arrived. We certainly have not arrived. But the fact that we have the Black Panther movie about 2 years ago, and even that, when Black Panther came out, I'm on the phone with Sundiata Acoli, and he's just like, "Oh, my grandkids are going to see this film today. I hope that they remember the real Black Panthers." So it's again, it's constant context that's needed when we do watch these films, because we're not going to get the true the Nat Turner liberation story. We'll get some sanitized version that that HBO has greenlit or ABC has allowed, to give
the ones, like you said, the ones that don't show the killing of the whites, but they continually show the punishment of Black folks. Like I remember the follow-up movie that Nat Parker did when he did the police brutality movie, and the whole setup was like my man was taking revenge at the precinct. I thought some heads was going to roll, literally in blue uniforms, but the only killing I saw was that at the end, his son at the beginning, and him at the end for doing what he did. Like, and I agree with you. It's like it's to teach, impart certain lessons, right? There's a right way to do it, and there's a way that costed your life, right? Unless you're doing it for the U.S. military, of course, because they're always heroes, right?
Well, I mean, even with that, you got some of a lot of people from But some people from Black Liberation Army and some people from Black Panther Party, they come back from the U.S. Navy with that training, and then now you're looking at a whole insurgency of guerrilla insurgency. Then this leads, to Nixon saying that they're the greatest threat and so on and so forth. Why are the greatest threat? Because America has trained these people. America knows what these. If they decide, if we had that hate that they say we walk around with all the time, if they know that they know what America knows what they have produced more or less, right. And so this is this is not what they want.
And they're clear about what their soldiers come back and do.
Yeah,
what I'm saying. Their soldiers become, like I said, armed agents of the state. They become the police. They go out and kill Black folks and others. So they figure, hey man, these Africans are training and they have this skill set or whatever. They might remember what we did to them.
Correct. Or they go to Congress, right? They go to Congress and parade as
and sell out
members of the Black Caucus.
Right.
Well, that's part of you mentioned The Spook That Sat by the Door was such a sort of a phenomenal film for its time, and why it was shut down so quickly once it sort of like it came out. And Sam Greenwald, I believe,
Greenleaf.
Say his name again.
Sam Greenleaf.
Greenleaf, yeah. Like he spent the rest of his life, he felt like suffering for making that film, and so he came out later on with some different views about what he did, but it was obvious at the beginning a film like that, even during that time in the 70s, that was made that wasn't explicitly sort of in the Black so-called Black exploitation genre, had to be shut down. So it's miraculous that it was made, that it got where it did, but then it was shut down. Do you feel like a movie like that, with that kind of intentionality, like again with these openings, could get made today?
I feel like it can get made today, and it's on networks like what you guys are doing to distribute it. I would not expect a corporation that puts tons and billions of dollars to put out anti-Black program, anti-Black films, to all of a sudden decide that, oh yes, in the name of inclusion and diversity, we're now going to allow a bunch of freedom fighters to show what another generation of freedom fighters, what if you keep your eyes on the prize, this is what it looks like. I would not expect.
Do you feel like do you feel like other filmmakers like young Black filmmakers or Black filmmakers who have some politics, because again, there's some who claim to have more politics, do you feel like they are even desirable or even understand, let's say, the difference between making a film like The Spook Who Sat by the Door and The Judas and the Black Messiah? Or do you think, sort of propaganda wise, they actually do think they're and again, no disrespect to the brother who made it, but they actually do think they're reaching the farther limits of portraying Black radicalism in a way that people will get it?
I think to a certain extent, yes. The answer is because you sort of feel vindicated when you make a film like Shaka King did it, and it's received so warmly worldwide, and it has all of the pomp and circumstance of just like global recognition. Some part of that vindicates you, so it tells you, yes, I'm in the right direction. I'm doing the right thing. So, but I also think you can easily be seduced by capitalism, and you can easily be seduced by Hollywood. And Hollywood, it takes nothing to throw some money at you, and they say, oh, you don't have to desert all of your politics. We'll give you a few things, and it's about that compromise. So I do feel that sort of once you're sort of in that orbit, it's the riches and the fame and the prosperity, it seduces you. So yeah, there's that, but I also feel there's people like myself who are alert of these things and have made a conscious decision not to go that route. And whether that means I don't make $1 million from this film, then so be it. Because ideally, it's just like if this film can influence 1 million more minds to decide, I want to be the next Sonia Sanchez, or I want to be the next Reverend Herbert Daughtry, or I want to be the next Cornel West, or even I want to be the next Mumia Abu-Jamal or Sundiata Akoli, then this film has served its point. The idea is that it taps into a pain, a suffering, a triumph, a sort of seeing. Want to have the Black African mind, which is us, that want to see us take it to the next level, and understanding that yes, because we live in America, there are going to be these roads that appear to be paved with gold, but it's just like we've got to continue to think long term, and we have to continue to use history sort of as a catapult to get us to where we want to go. So I feel like to answer your question is just like yes, it's just like it depends on the person. I feel that there's room for both. I just hope, you know, and like I said, I my film has been very supported by the independent Black news networks, and this is the route I intentionally wanted to go. So as I've made a firm decision to go this route, and I'm okay with that. And I hope that more filmmakers who make films like this that are not backed by Hollywood, because again, that's the key right there. Is it's like once you have that foundation money, this is no longer the story that you're able to tell. And you know, I'll leave it there.
You know, it was announced that earlier this year that Lee Daniels is doing a version of The Spook Who Sat by the Door. You know, so to answer the question, Kamal, about the whole Hollywood shit, I think that we definitely should, as much as possible, especially with the climate right now, because the beautiful thing about the quote unquote pandemic is that a lot of the theaters aren't doing well anyway. So it gives us the opportunity to live stream, to do the virtual film festivals, you know, not having to travel to different countries and continents and things of that nature. It's funny, actually, last year, Jared and I, we both hosted a film festival out of Australia. And we actually, our film debuted internationally through that particular joint, but it was only because of the fact that it was virtual. You know, I wouldn't have been planning on going to Australia last minute notice, but it puts you in a better space right now, you know. So with yourself, like, how do you feel about that? Do you feel that it's more of a chance at getting to where it needs to go because of this situation, or what was your thoughts on that?
I think I certainly think because of I mean, Corona, yes, because this has kept us inside, but certainly just that the advancement of the internet. This is, and all of these apps, like we're doing live stream and everything. It's because of that now I can be in a conference in Colombia. This film can be played in South Africa. This film can be played in Senegal. You know, so it's just like that global audience, that global interconnectedness. What I have failed to mention is this, like, part of the Black radical tradition, as you guys are well aware of, is being an internationalist. And part of that is, you know, connecting with our international brothers and sisters through a consortium of mediums. And so, you know, my particular medium that I've decided to have a career in is film. And so this is, you know, this is how I tell my stories and get my word out. But yeah, I've been on conferences where people were not necessarily in this country. People in South Africa. I just filmed the International Tribunal. We still charge genocide up in the Malcolm X Center in Harlem a few weeks ago, and we had international tribunal jurists from, you know, all around the country, all around the globe. Excuse me. So it's like the work that we're doing. The Black radical tradition is about internationalists. And getting back to my film specifically. Yes, it's just like I can reach children in countries that I will never have physically gone to, besides the fact that I have a fear of planes. This has helped me just sort of avoid all of that. So just like I can, just fill up that Google Calendar and just jump on a call.
I'm not going to laugh at you about the fear of planes. I just go to sleep on every damn flight. I don't care if it's 20 minutes.
The film that you mentioned in the bio, Black in the Holy Land, that's a film I helped shoot 2017, flew over to Palestine for a couple of weeks, and we interviewed Black Palestinians living under Israeli apartheid. That flight was close to like 18 hours. So I took everything.
You died and came back.
Yeah. So that was probably the longest flight I'd ever been on.
Did you get with Damn while you were over there? The hip hop group Damn. Yeah. Okay, we have them in our film as well. They're definitely
tight.
Yeah, they say they learned how to speak English from listening to Tupac.
I believe,
you know what I'm saying?
And again, this is, our culture. As you know, it goes to the globe. So this is why it's very important. I don't have to preach to the choir. It's very important that we control the narrative on what is being exported, and this is not only BET images that are being exported. It's not only just this mass consumption, but there's actually some hardcore, wanting a level of wanting to learn and wanting to organize. And again, I say this about the film. If I can get this to as many community organizations and have screenings, because be damn, why should I give my money to AMC to host? Why are we going to AMC? Is just like, we have the infrastructure. It's just like all these Black folks with money is just like, yo, put it up, you know, put up a theater. It's just like we got this. And if they don't want to do it, we come to Kamal, we'll come to Kalanji. It's just like, y'all got the spots. We'll put up a sheet and we'll screen it, you know.
Let's go. Yeah, I wish we'd have did a screen it here.
True.
For real, because that's what it's really about. It's just like when you see this film, is you're gonna go through a range of emotions. It's like it's gonna be that the people who have never heard of this, that you'll be pausing this to write things down. It's just like, if you have seen some of this, heard of these names, you'll be like, another story may have availed us. Another name may have been added to the story. It's just like, some of it may make you tight, like dead ass. Like some of the stuff, seeing and hearing these draconian sentences and is hearing the testimony of Sekou Odinga being tortured by police officers, as you know, as a man. It's just like, some of the shit is going to get you tight. So it's like, you're going to go through that range of emotion. Hearing from Sonia Sanchez will put a battery in your back and inspire you, you know, and give you that charge. You know, hearing from Amina Baraka, the late Amiri Baraka's wife, hearing from her, it's just like, it will put that charge in your back. So again, hearing from people like Ruby Sales and her questioning, you know, how does one arrive at becoming a radical? I like to tell the story of our brother from the Black Liberation Army, AKA he used to go by the name of Nathaniel Burns. He goes in the jail systems. Yes, he goes in the jail systems as Sekou, but he talks about the revolution and the evolution of his mind and the radicalization of his politics, and he merges as Sekou Odinga. So what does that transformation look like? So it's things like this in the film that I hope people, when they hear and see these things, you sort of ask yourself, it's just like, what am I doing to carry, you know, this legacy of the Black radical tradition in whichever way you see fit that you can do it.
No, I always believe that part of the role of the artist, the cultural worker, is in some ways to make the revolution, I don't want to say palatable, or sexy, but to motivate people to get involved more, because they get to hear the stories in ways they haven't heard it before. They hear it lyrically, they hear it through sort of visual mediums, and it can be so inspiring and pulls you in to want to be a part of that movement. And I think when filmmakers like yourself really, you know, make that commitment to do it in that way, that's fantastic. So yeah, we really are going to looking forward to having that film debut here. We'll come into Atlanta, right? You said,
right. Yes, it'll be in Atlanta this week. It'll be in Atlanta this week, November 20th. But the film festival itself starts on the 19th, and then at large we have the African Diaspora International Film Festival, December 7th through December 10th. My film will be running there as well. But again, there's a sliding pay scale, so I think it's like $10. I'm not counting people's money, so if you can watch it. If not, I promise you we'll organize a way that the people can at least get a reviewer copy and see this film, because it's more important to me that people actually get out and see this film and have some sort of response to it, you know. And
which film festival is this? Is this the Atlanta Film Festival this week? So
that Atlanta Film Festival, yes, November 20th. Cool. November 20th, 10 a.m.
Yes. So for the viewers, go to just Google Atlanta Film Festival. You know what I'm saying? It happens every year here, and you can check it out. Make sure you support our brother Ed Stokes. He's out here doing, I mean, listen, from the folks he was talking about in the film, it's impossible for him to fuck it up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's like, if he did, it's like, come on, dog. Like, I mean,
you'll let me know.
It's like throwing the ball.
There's an endorsement.
Yeah. It's like throwing the football into a private
trust you guys to let me know.
Yeah, you know we're talking about it bad.
That, I mean, honestly, this is what you got. You gotta come to your community and come correct, and you know it has to, you know,
no doubt,
it's gotta pass the test of the elder statesmen and such. But I appreciate you guys for letting me rock on your platform. This is
you can stop with that old shit, man. Some of the elder statesmen. That's a sneak word for old Kamal. Like, you know, so
no, I heard it.
I
heard it.
Come on, I'm filling your bookshelf. I got about a third of your bookshelf behind me. I don't know if you can see that.
I see yours. I can see. I kind of see it. Yeah, I see it in the back.
Okay,
right.
I thought that was a cassette tape. I thought it was a bunch of cassette tapes, man. But definitely, brother. We definitely appreciate.
It's a pleasure, brother. It's a pleasure to meet you, fellow Brooklynite. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Keeping it real.
Yeah, so only thing we got against you.
Hey, I'm from old Brooklyn, so we good. We all
okay.
That's true.
Mile from New Brooklyn. Don't worry.
Pre-gentrification.
Yeah,
Connecticut is always
New Canarsie.
Yeah. So I will let me know what I need to drop in the chat. I think I sent it to you guys, but I'll drop it in the.
Well, why don't you give us a website real quick too, that folks can check out more about you, your filmmaking, is anything like that, or social media?
I don't have a website yet. I'm working on it.
I ain't even got a website.
Well, I'm about to tell you. I'm about to tell you why, because I've been when you do things independently, like these things take time. Like I have over 40 hours of interview footage, and only this turned into a 2.5-hour film. So with that, again, I'm not hoarding information and hoarding knowledge. I'm in the process of just making it digestible, just like as a nice audio track with some nice, easy listening music to it, so people can go to a website and hear unfiltered, unedited, hour and a half long conversations from some freedom fighters and different names of black heroes and things like that. So, but right now, I'm on Instagram at Firstborn Twin 1914. I rap with people there, and I'm on Twitter at easy 1923. So that's 1923. So that's where I am right now.
And go to Vimeo to check out the
straight up Vimeo.
trailer.
You just type in the trailer conversations, the Black Radical Tradition, and you'll get a nice 2.5-minute trailer. And you see all the players from this. What I hope to be a lasting, impactful, historical document. This is my contribution to our radical tradition. First of many contributions, of continued contributions. But we are.
I tell you what, since we want to see you win, we'll do a review of the film next week. I'll say next week Thursday. You just hit me and remind me, because
that's
elder
tight.
statesmen. It's old folks. We get.
I got you, brother. That's love. That's love. Pull up some popcorn and your favorite brew. And
man, you already know. Yeah. But anyway, man, we appreciate you coming through, brother, and definitely be in touch with you. You hear from us in a few texts.
Definitely. All right, brothers.
All right.
No doubt.
Peace, y'all.
Checking out the RemiX Morning Show. That was Ed Easy Stokes, and dropping that fresh film, Conversations, the Black Radical Traditions. Make sure we check that out. That's a necessary piece. Like Che Guevara said, the role of the propagandist is just as important as the role of the guerrilla. And that's what we're talking about here, and that's why we bring you BPM. I think that, Kamal, man, the Air Doctor kind of got off light today. I think we need to bring him back on and have him close us out with some sounds. What you think?
I think so. If he's available, I don't see him popping up behind the screen.
He must have bladder issues right now, huh?
He probably still in the bathroom.
Okay. Well, moving right along tonight, don't forget to check out at 5:30 tonight. We will have right here on BPM. We will have State of the Black Liberation Panel, the State of the Black Liberation Panel at 5:30 p.m. today. And also, again, we'll give you a little break, and at 8 p.m. we'll have Inside the Ethiopian Civil War. Stay tuned. We'll see you tomorrow on the RemiX Morning Show.
Peace. We out. RemiX.